Hey everybody, back with another podcast interview about Quantic. This time I'm talking to Nicole Teoh, who has an interesting background in FinTech, which is something I'm always curious about, but I really don't know anything about. We talk in this conversation about the commitments needed to study an EMBA and how it impacted her career. Also, her work in digital transformation. Some pretty interesting stuff, and a lot of talking about just getting down and doing this EMBA, which is one of the things I think I really need to talk about more on this channel. Anyway, watch the interview and I'll be back after. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I wanted to talk, I don't know if you've seen, I'm talking to a whole bunch of people who are in Quantic and went to Quantic and all the rest of that stuff. And I'm curious myself, who, what people, the background of people and why they chose and everything like that. So I'm looking at what you've been doing and you've been working for, you're doing like FinTech and things like that, right? That's kind of your space. So maybe you could tell me a little bit about, because I don't know a lot about FinTech. It seems to be a lot more sophisticated than me. So maybe you could tell me a bit about it.
Actually, it's not so sophisticated. It's finance and tech, basically. So I've been in this area for about 15 years now. Mainly in digital transformation within the banking sector. So I've been in projects where we had to transform bank infrastructure, and I had to do the business analysis, like understanding the processes, mapping out what's the as is process and what would the to be process be, basically optimizing them and seeing how these new technologies can actually automate certain processes. And
So are you doing internal stuff or customer facing stuff or both, or?
It would be both. So I started off with customer facing, which is on the retail side. And then I moved on to the corporate side, so more internal. So our customers will be the corporate treasurers, doing corporate banking. Yeah.
So how did you get into that?
It was by chance, actually. So I actually applied for. I graduated from a university in economics, and majoring in finance. I was applying for, like, as a fresh grad. I didn't really have any idea what I'm gonna do, so I just said, okay, economics. Let's go into a bank. Let's see how things are going there. And there was a position for marketing job intern, and I just applied for it and went for the interview, and they were like, oh, actually you're a little bit more technical. How about we actually are in need for a business analyst? How about you join that team instead? And that was how it began. Yeah.
So when I'm always curious about, I'm sorry, I have all these kind of questions because I'm very curious about how people do that. Like, so when you were, let's say, 15 years old, did you say, oh, I want to go and study economics at university? How did that happen?
That's kind of like at 15, I didn't really know what I wanted, but in Malaysia, what happens is that you get streamed into either the arts track or the science track at 15. And at that time, I wasn't really that studious, so math and science wasn't like my best subjects. But I still I love all the kind of structure in the math and science, but I just could not pass tests. Let's just say.
I understand.
So, so I still wanted to be within the math. So I still wanted to take advanced math, but I didn't want to go so deep into that. So the option was to take an art stream into economics and accounting. So you still get the mathematical part of it. but I had to drop all the biology and
I
physics
see.
and those subjects. Yeah. So initially I was thinking I would like to become a architect, but then having to drop all those other subjects, I just had to move to something else. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So economics and things were in the arts side.
Yeah. In
That's
in Malaysia, it's in the art side.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, because I kind of was the same. Like when I was in high school,
Yeah.
I was lazy. Well, I think everybody in high school is lazy, but and I think my father wanted me to be an engineer because he
Okay.
was an engineer, and all of my friends went into engineering, but
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of work and all of that. So I
Yeah.
didn't. So I was a musician, so I just
Mhm.
went into music and things like that. And it wasn't until much later that I got into technology and entrepreneurism and things like that.
Mhm.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. But yeah, I mean, that's why I didn't know that economics was kind of in the art side. That's interesting. If I'd been offered that, I probably would have done it because one of the modules that I really loved inside of Quantic was the economics part.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how long you've been working for quite some time,
Mhm.
right? So why take an MBA now then?
So I always wanted to do an MBA, but I didn't want to do it right after studies. I wanted to get some kind of business or professional experience first, and uh, and then life happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working, and after the project got released, I applied for international exchange program with the university. So I landed in Singapore. So I'm originally from Malaysia, and in Singapore, I uh, s- I stayed here for a year for the internship, but the contract got extended. And at that point of time, I also met my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then we got kids, and that just moved on and on and on. And every time I was like, okay, I'm gonna start my MBA after my maternity break, and that
Mm-hmm.
never happened because when you have a young child, it's really
Yeah, right.
difficult. Yeah, and most of the MBA programs, they are full time,
Yeah.
or they are really expensive. Um, so I so we actually moved to Japan, and we moved back to Singapore. And at that point of time, I had my third child, and I said, okay, no, this is the time that I'm gonna take it. And so my husband was like, okay, how about you? Uh, we sort out like the daycare for the youngest one, and then you really take a break and do it, not just jump into uh work. And so I was searching and scouting around. My dream was actually to join INSEAD,
Mm-hmm.
but then that was COVID, and the offer was that for the same price point, everything would be virtual, and I felt that that didn't give any added advantage in that sense. And
Yeah.
then I was talking to a friend, and he actually highly recommended Quantic. He got to know it from someone else, from his professional network, and I looked into it, and I was like, okay, this looks interesting, and it gives me the flexibility to be able to manage the children as well, and while studying. So,
Mm.
and the price point wasn't that such a big, so I was already ready to pay for
Mm.
INSEAD. So it got
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So So I was like, okay, let me give it a try. Like at the end of the day, it's nothing to lose. I'm going to learn something out of it. That's how I made the decision to say, okay,
Mm.
let's try it and see. That's nothing to lose, right?
Exactly. I mean,
Mhm.
for me, when I went into it, because I'm still in the middle of it. I'm
Mhm.
still in the middle of Quantic now, but I thought, oh, it's online, it's virtual. How much am I really going to learn? I thought, oh, it's going to be kind of like MBA light, but
Mm,
I'm quite surprised at how deep the learning is.
yeah.
I feel like we're getting pretty much everything, but it's
Mm,
done in a very easy way.
yeah.
So I'm sometimes I wonder, like, oh, if I was doing a full-time MBA, I don't think I would learn any more.
Mm,
I think I'm learning everything. I feel like that at least. So I think sometimes people think that online stuff is kind of not as serious,
mm,
but it seems like it to me. So
yeah.
you're done now.
Yeah. I'm done now.
So how do you feel like what was the most interesting part of the MBA for you? Or what do you feel
Mm,
like you learned the most from, or if you want to put it that way?
I would say it's kind of the whole package. I would look at it in that sense, as what you said, being virtual, right? So being virtual means that you need self motivation to be able to
Yeah.
go on and dig deeper. The If you see all the modules, they are easy at the surface, but then there are a lot of like Harvard Business School links and the Economic Times links that you can go through and read more. Uh, yeah, so what I felt is that uh, with the right mindset, you can actually get more out of it. But if you go in and say that, oh, okay, it's a virtual thing, I can take it easy. People do take it easy as well. I've seen my fellow cohort members take it
Right.
easy as well. Yeah. But I think what I get most out of it was actually the interaction within all the people. I did it full time. So 9 to 5 was actually my study time. The kids when the kids were in daycare and school.
Mm.
And I was able to actually join all the webinars, attend also all the in-person meetups, and of course, like the capstone actually was the most strenuous part of the
Mhm.
activity. I mean, it gave kind of a full-on experience on how you should form a business. Like
Mhm.
you need to form it with people you trust and
Right.
people who have the same mindset as you are, and not just like, oh, we're just trying to finish the project and let's just get it done. Yeah, that kind of did not really happen for my group or my team, and that experience, like that gives me the experience on how actually I need to be a little bit more careful as well on how to approach people, how to manage people as well. Yeah.
Mm.
So.
I think when I came into it, because I work kind of remotely, so I have my own company, right?
Mhm.
And there's me and other people, but everyone else is spread around the world.
Yeah.
So I don't work with anybody in person, and I live kind of in northern Japan in a small town, so I'm
Mhm.
like very, very isolated. And when I started Quantic, I said, I want to just meet everybody, because the
Yeah.
most important thing for me is the meeting of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
And that's why I started to do this podcasty interview thing as well, is just to meet more people, because
Mhm.
I think I spent a long time by myself,
Mhm.
and I realized that that's it. Business doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
You need to have other people to get ideas and to spread the work and all the rest of it.
Mhm.
Um, but what's interesting is that a lot of people in my cohort aren't like that. Even on Slack, there's hardly anybody. I think, let's say there's 250 people in my cohort.
Yeah.
Maybe on Slack, about 50 people are active, if that.
Yeah.
Maybe less than 50. So I think a lot of people don't take advantage of it. I think you want to take advantage of everything. Like
Mhm.
everybody pays the same money, so why not get as much from it as you can?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's a lesson some people don't learn, I guess.
Yeah, but I think it really depends. Like what I said, what the the objective for why
Mm.
people take an EMBA might be different from one person to the other. For me, I really wanted to learn. I really wanted the interaction. I was also really isolated from taking care of the kids.
Mm.
And I'm an introvert, but I like uh, connecting with people. So
Yes.
yeah, so therefore I really took advantage of that platform as well. But I think some people, they kind of most people are actually full-time working, so I
Hmm.
can imagine that it's really difficult if you're full-time. I can't imagine myself full-time working while doing Quantic.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of mental energy. Like you're working 9 to 5, and then you have dinner, and then after that, you have to kind of clear your mind in order to go into study mode, and then do your modules. I think if I would be doing this full time, I don't think I would have the energy to uh, add on that mingling and
Yeah.
networking part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably true. I mean, it's
Mm.
funny because Quantic, they kind of sell it as something that you can do while you're working.
Yeah.
But like you say, if you're working, you don't really have the energy to do it
Yeah.
as full as you can. I mean,
Mm.
you only have so much, and everybody has the same amount of hours, but it's the
Sure.
energy, to put the
Yeah.
energy in. I'm the same because what I do is I mostly do Quantic during the day because
Mhm.
I my business mostly is automated, so I spend a little bit
Mhm.
of time here and there, but most of what I have mostly free time.
Okay.
And I went into Quantic to kind of pivot my professional career, so of course I'm going to focus on Quantic.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a luxury maybe not everybody has.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So, but now you're back working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what advantage? How can I mean, I don't work for Quantic, so I don't really care. But like, what advantage do you think the MBA got for you, or is it an internal thing?
Mm, I think it's more an internal thing. It gave me a little bit more confidence on like my thought processes. That that in Quantic you learn a lot of theories, a lot of frameworks, right? And most of this, as a entrepreneur or as a professional, you're just going with the flow and not really uh, understanding why you're doing certain things. And I think that gave a little bit of awareness on why you do certain things and why you make certain choices. And I think that's important. And I think that's advantages when you are stepping up in your career as well.
Mm-hmm.
It, it gives you a better vantage point on how to manage people as well by having those awareness in place, and also frameworks on how you should go about tackling certain problems or certain issues. And I think that, yeah, that's advantages for me and personally, I think. Yeah.
Mm. Do you think that you will start your own business, or you will do something like that? Now that you feel a bit more comfortable with the MBA topics, or is that not really something you're interested in?
Mm, so yeah, starting a business needs a certain level of courage in that sense. I don't
True.
think I'm there yet to actually step into that zone. But I think I would say that I'm pretty entrepreneurial, still within a certain risk
Right.
appetite. So yeah, within my professional life, I've been mainly into digital transformation, which is in one sense still very dynamic and innovative. So yeah, so I think that I could still use those skills in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I mean, because entrepreneur doesn't have to be. outside. I mean, you can be an entrepreneur inside of a company,
Yeah.
because you're forging your own thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. So before you took Quantic, did you know anybody who had an MBA? I didn't.
Mm, I think some of my managers had MBAs. Yeah.
Mhm. But that wasn't like, oh, they've got an MBA, so I should do an MBA. You had that idea for a long time before, so.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Mm.
Mm.
I was mainly in for the knowledge rather than just a MBA with my name somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So so when did kind of the first person I've talked to who's graduated, I think the first
Oh, okay.
graduate I've talked to. So yeah, this capstone. So give me some inside scoop on the capstone. So with the capstone, do you pick your own topic and everything like that, or is you're given a range of topics?
Yeah. So for the capstone, I think they changed the format this year, or for your cohort.
Mm-hmm.
For mine, it was yeah, you pick your own. So they provided lots of, again, Quantic style, lots of frameworks, lots of templates, but it's up to you to pick your own topic.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think most of the uh, teams, which I've talked to as well, my team as well, the issue was actually to nail down the topic, because when you
Mhm.
have like a big scope, it's rather difficult. Yeah.
And did you have a problem? Like I have a problem because being here in Japan, the time difference, a lot
Mhm.
of the webinars and things like that, you can't take them,
Yeah.
because they're like in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So that's, I think the only thing I'm not happy about is that for a lot of the webinars, I can't join live.
Yeah.
I always have to watch a recording. So that's my only complaint. But you sent me that thing about.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for taking the time. I don't want to take too much of your time up today, but I
Yeah.
really appreciate talking with
Yeah. All the best, Phil.
you. Thank you. We'll talk again. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you have it, my interview with Nicole. And despite the vertical video, which I'm not a fan of, it turned out pretty good. She's so much fun to chat with, and I think has a different perspective. I say that probably every time. Everybody has a different perspective on taking this Quantic, but for her to do it, on her time off, with her maternity leave, and I guess having a very supportive husband, was pretty interesting, and it immediately led to a new role for her. And she's now off and traveling and doing her new things. So pretty interesting. Please hit the like, subscribe, bell notification for more of these interviews, and also, my insights into taking this EMBA, which I'm chugging my way through. We'll see you soon.